Pacific mountains of their islands, the gods of the Pacific had reigned over the lives of the islanders since the beginning of time. Their power was absolute. They controlled the processes of fertility, birth and death, growth and renewal. They were the gods of nature, passionate, mysterious, and relentless. Their presence was woven through the traditions and the daily life of the villagers. Christianity came to the Cook Islands in 1824, and there began a conflict between the moral standards of the church and the urgent life force of the old gods of the Pacific. The missionaries came from a strictly conventional social framework, and in a very short time, they had converted whole island communities to a new set of values. They established and imposed a set of harsh codes. They were called the Blue Laws. These laws covered many aspects of their daily life. Thou shalt not be pregnant if you are an unmarried woman. Thou shalt not place your arm about a woman. Thou shalt not travel to other villages on the Sabbath. The islanders clad their dark beauty in white gloves and hats and prayed that the fire in their blood would be subdued. The old gods of the Pacific lost their power and receded into an endless twilight.
My name is Maki. I grew up here in a small village on the Cook Islands. It is a place where the heart is content and each day has its meaning. We live a traditional life where our work and our play follows an age-old custom. The code of the Blue Laws says my dancing stirs the boys to feel love and desire for me. But I have already chosen my lover. His name is Tua, and my dancing is all for him. We must no longer dance now that the missionaries have come. They tell us if we follow our old ways, the vengeance of their God will strike us. Secretly, we went up into the hills and met in a hidden place to hold our now forbidden celebrations. We danced the Urupiani, the dance that invites love. Nothing can hold the passion that rises from this dance. The sea is fresh after a night of love. The waves remind us of our dancing. Tua is my happiness.
The terms of the blue laws were rigidly enforced. Offenders were severely punished. Maki was flogged and put in the stocks. Tua was also flogged and made to carry a heavy stone right across the island. For a long time, these penalties were imposed on many who failed to abide by the repressive codes of the blue laws. Now, a century and a half later, a new awareness presides, and the Church in its modern life has embraced the wisdom of tolerance. The Cook Islanders are once again proud of their ancient Polynesian traditions. The blue laws are long forgotten, and the spirit of the dance has been renewed. On the 18th of November 1991, 3 fishermen left their village on Nikunau, one of the islands of the Kiribati group. It began as an ordinary fishing trip. Seven months later, on the 11th of May 1992, they finally made landfall in Western Samoa. They had run out of petrol, and strong winds had swept them out to sea. The ordeal that followed, in an open boat, exposed to the elements, is one of the great modern epics of survival.
When we drifted away from the land, we prayed. After that, we prayed 4 times every day, starting from early in the morning until the night time.
Amen.
We caught fish, quite a few, mostly tuna with our lines. We ate them raw.
It was the hottest time of the year. On clear days, the worst thing was the sun. No shelter. The sun never stopped.
I think it was after 2 months, we saw something floating in the water. It was a plastic hard hat with Chinese writing on it. That had most probably saved our lives in the end.
We knew we must exercise, otherwise our muscles would waste away. We took it in turns to keep watch. After 3 months of drifting, the sea was very rough. We were hit by a very large wave and the boat capsized. We didn't see the wave coming. We managed to turn the boat over, but we lost everything except for the plastic hat, a piece of rope, and a stick. The boat was very small, so cramped, not made for long voyages.
After we lost everything in the capsize, we used the rope to lasso sharks. That was our only food. We always ate the liver first. Then we drank the blood of the shark.
The fishermen had faith they would survive. In the village of Tambamatang on Nikunau, their families never stopped believing that they would return.
Well, after the boy's disappearance, I felt God is my hope and I trusted in God. There is a custom we call tawanmi, to hold safe something. It is a symbolic link with the absent person. When Tapaya put his watch on my wrist, I was thinking it is a symbol of his life and he would be the one to take it back from me because he had come back alive.
Our friend got sick. He was starving. His feet swelled up. Then his legs. Finally, his whole body was swollen. One morning, he was very weak. He died in the afternoon. We kept him with us for one night. Then we put his body over the side in the afternoon.
While we were drifting in the ocean, there were times when we felt really sad and hopeless, but we had a strong desire to live. Fortunately, we had the determination to endure all the difficulties of those 7 months.
In the last 2 months, There were no sharks to catch, so we had to live by drinking rainwater. No food.
One day, as it was getting dark, we saw land on the horizon. We were very weak by then, but we started paddling straight away with the hat and the stick. It took us 36 hours to reach the reef. Then we got stuck on the reef. A big wave washed us into the lagoon. We knew we were safe. Then we remembered to pray. At last we reached the beach. I could only walk with difficulty. Renta could only crawl.
The epic journey of the Kiribati fishermen was soon picked up by the world press. Their courage and endurance created a new record of survival at sea. These quiet fishermen are modern heroes. For 7 months, they suffered heat, exposure, and privation on a journey of over 2,500 kilometers. Only their skills and their long familiarity with the sea enabled them to endure this remarkable odyssey until their homecoming. The two Kiribati fishermen and their families who waited are true traditional sea people of the Pacific. The fishermen had the instinct to become a living part of the sea, to accept without resisting the flow, the drift, and the currents of the ocean that would finally bring them home from this longest such journey on record.
It was 1774, and navigator Captain James Cook was at the end of a long 2-year journey from England through the Pacific. He arrived at the New Hebrides, now Vanuatu, and the island of Tanna. On his sailing ship, the Resolution, he would have seen the glow of the volcano Yasur, sacred to the people of Tanna, and was drawn to take anchor. He named his anchorage Port Resolution Bay.
I am Mele of Erepor. Now, more than 200 years later, village life continues in the same bay. There is a dugong living in our bay, and because of him, old stories are remembered. One of the legends started in this village. It happened long ago. The women were preparing their food and vegetables in readiness for cooking. We had no salt in those days, so the women cooked in seawater. One woman, Amela, went to collect water from the sea. Down through the village, she walked to the bay. She was startled by a large shadowy shape in the water. A huge fish, she thought. Casaro, Casaro, she called to her husband, who was fishing nearby. He came with his spear and was soon poised to kill the creature. Stop, do not kill me, cried the dugong. My name is Casaro, the same as yours. The fisherman spared the dugong, who then turned to stone. Casaro placed it under a tree. The stone dugong still sleeps under the tree to this day. The dugong in the bay responds to our call. Some say he is the only one in Tana. I fear for his loneliness as he has no mate, and I know the dugong is still hunted on some of the islands. Splashing the water calls him in to play. He always answers the summons. He arrives quickly. The crescent moon of his broad tail speeds him along. He is sometimes called a sea cow, but he looks more like an elephant, a strange elephant without limbs or trunk, 3 meters long and weighing some 400 kilos. He moves with pleasure in his underwater world and comes up to breathe every few minutes to remind us of our warm-blooded kinship.
They say the first dugongs followed the canoes into the bay. Perhaps they believed they were sea creatures too. The oldest story of the dugong tells how they were once thought to be mermaids. Legend says that sirens lured sailors to their death, singing and calling them to the hazardous rocks. And the dugong, for a short time at sunset, became partly human, before returning to its undersea world.